Well, a very good evening to you, race fans. We are back once again at Simple Racing Broadcast here, bringing you all the action from the Alliance Sim Racing Gard Supercar Championship. And tonight it is endurance time. The mini Enduro here is one that we've been looking forward to since the start of this season. And finally, round 7 is upon us. We are heading to the classic supercar track, Sandown International Motor Raceway, for 250 kilometres, 80 laps of racing here tonight. And it is going to be another fantastic night of racing, I'm absolutely certain. It's great to have you along with us again for some more iRacing action here this evening. My name's Jared Cole, and I'm joined once again this evening by Isaac Fergaday. G'day, Isaac. Welcome on back from last night's action. We are getting into it here at what is probably second only to Bathurst, I reckon, in terms of tracks that are famous for being supercar tracks.
Yeah, good evening, Joe. Good evening, everybody. Famous for being supercar tracks and famous, and I would say synonymous with endurance racing in supercars. Sandown, obviously, for a large number of years, hosted the Sandown 500 and is an iconic endurance race. So the fact we're going endurance racing here in these Gen 3 cars tonight speaks volumes for how this track is viewed by Australians when it comes to the way that it's treated with supercars. So 250 Ks, as you said, 80 laps. A little bit different to last night. We're all the way over the other side of the world with much higher altitude, much different conditions. A little bit of rain, a random chance of showers is what the forecast says for this evening. So we could see some weather come in somewhere. But nevertheless, I think we will get mostly dry racing for this evening, which, look, it could be exciting. 2 compulsory pit stops, a 60% fuel limit. We are going to see a few different strategies. People may be going for a bit of clean air early on just to go for that early stop and get out of the traffic, but the safety cars will play a factor here this evening as well.
Yeah, entirely possible. And Sandown's one of those tracks, it's so hard to manufacture a pass. And on top of that being such a short lap time, the grid will get really, really messy, to be fair, across the course of these couple of pit stops. And we're not really going to have, I imagine, a perfect picture of anyone's progress until after the second pit stops are all completed. But that's a fair way ahead of us yet. The driver's just finishing qualifying now, so we do have some results, but we're going to make you wait a little while before we do take a look at the grid. They've got a few minutes just to get themselves sorted and ready for strapping into 250 Ks. It's going to be a long night in terms of single race. It's no longer really than a normal race night in terms of total time on track, but to do it in one continuous sweep is always significantly more challenging than doing it as a 2-race format. With any luck though, drivers will make it around here pretty cleanly. Let's take a look at the championship standings before coming into this evening. And this is how it's going at the moment. Will Buchanan continues to extend his lead out in front, and you'd have to say he's going to continue to be one of the favourites, if not the only favourite to take the title this season. Mark Poynton, a fair way behind, but with a reasonably healthy gap to third place in West Stone Street. The gap between Stone Street and Bents, though, only a single point for that final step on the podium at the moment. So that one's going to be one to watch over the last few rounds. Stephen Varga's a little bit further back, but we'll probably find it difficult to catch up at this stage. 80 points, even with a few rounds to go, is a fair way off. And then a whole bunch of other fairly close battles going on right throughout. Trav Daly cementing himself at the front of the Cup Trophy class, but only 40 points back to Darryl Callahan, so I wouldn't call that completely done and dusted just yet. Andrew Hoffman a little way further back ahead of Brad Hayes, and so on down the order for the top 20 in these standings. It's far from done. We've got 4 rounds to go, including this evening, so there's still plenty more racing and plenty of opportunity to pick up points. Plenty of time for things to go wrong for drivers, and Sandown, look, it's one of those circuits where things have happened before that have sent things a bit topsy-turvy for people. Let's go for a bit of a run around here before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Tonight, the track being navigated for us in the Gard Mustang by Simon Haynes, and we'll jump on board with him as he comes out of that final turn and down the main straight. Now, Sandown often accused of being really just 2 straights connected by a couple of corners, and I've certainly said that a couple of times myself, but credit to it, it is not as simple as that. These corners are really tricky. Turn 1, got to get that outside tyre loaded up and get it turned in, and then managing the speed through this chicane towards the sharp left-hander Pertec corner based on the signage, although the name differs from season to season, of course, based on the sponsor. And then onto the back straight, and it's one of those circuits where the exit from that last turn is so critical to keep your speed up. You absolutely need to hit top speed down here. 260, 265k an hour is what you'll see before they start to just back it off over the crest and down into the S's towards Dandenong Road. Up and over the banking. Got to hit those curbs to make this quick, but then you've got to get the car pulled up for another tight left-hander. Back on the power underneath the Penrite Bridge, and just another chicane to go, really. Onto the brake, manage the pace, over the curb, make sure that the car absolutely swallows it all the way to the outside, on the power again. And that is a lap of Sandown. It's over before you can blink, and despite being a couple of pretty long straights to deal with, it really does absolutely fly by because you're doing it at such a high pace. Tonight's hot lap, of course, brought to you once again by Gard St. Cobain and the Gard Mustang, doing it with ease. I did notice that Simon Haynes out there on track this evening, so we'll actually be racing tonight in the Gard Mustang, not just doing our hot lap, which is a good thing to see him out there again.
Yeah, it's great to see Hainesy back out on track. Didn't see him for the last few rounds, but he's put in the practice this week, and with the extra laps that he's made it on television, I think he wants to put some of those skills to good use. So great to see him back out there. Looking forward to seeing what he can do this evening. And with all the drivers, there's some interesting names up there in the timesheets, and I'm curious to see where everybody's going to end up when we do get racing in just a few minutes' time. We're not too far away from this warm-up session ending, Jared, which means we'll get a look at our grid, which will be absolutely fantastic. There's some quick times in qualifying. It's not a very long lap, just under 1 minute and 10 seconds, so it's going to fly by. It will be a difficult evening in the cars, though. As you said, it's no different to the normal amount of racing we do. However, it's all in one go. 250 Ks, 80 laps. It is going to take it out of these drivers. We've seen it at circuits like Adelaide and Bathurst before. We've done in seasons gone past. It just wrecks the drivers, and Sandown is no different. It's so physically demanding, as we saw with that lap on board with Simon Haynes. There is going to be a number of tired drivers out there. In fact, I'd willing to bet that every single driver will be absolutely wiped by the time we get to the checkered flag this evening.
Yeah, it's constant pressure at Sandown. You never really get a break here. Even though it does have those two long straights, you're still working to maintain your position to really fight for it. The corner exit speed is so critical, and then to actually stay ahead as you come into the turn in. I mean, this is the dream setup for overtaking in a Gen 3 supercar. Heavy braking into a tight turn, that's where it gets done. And somewhere like Sandown gives you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to do it. So a lot of work to be done here tonight. This is how they're going to stack up here this evening. Will Buchanan and Chris Burridge on the front row ahead of Troy Stonestreet and Dean Logsdale. Then Jason Benson, Brian Borg returning. I don't think we've seen him for a few weeks, Borgie, but he's back out there tonight. Mark Point and Brett Horsell on row 4. Nick Geary at the head of the Cup Trophy class in P9 next to Chad Vigar. And it's always interesting how the lineup changes when you come to a place like Sandown. There are some drivers with a lot of experience around this place. Further back in the field, Phil Manuel now with Frog Leap Juice Racing, so starting for them for the first time tonight. Alongside Trav Daly, then Paul Burns and Stephen Vargo ahead of Rick Vigar and Brad Hayes. Abel Verben and Ricky Hyde behind them. Scotty Perrins and Tony Chapman rounding out your top 20. Darryl Callahan and Josh Harris line up behind them with Alistair Bales and Tommy DeWitt on row 12. Then Andrew Hoffman and Troy Sipple, Ash Hall and Simon Haynes, James Hardy and Todd Martin taking race control duties here this evening. So 28 cars. It's going to be a pretty crowded circuit, I suspect. Sandown, look, there's not a lot of room on this track, and particularly as you go through turns 1, 2, 3, I think we're likely to see a first lap safety car here. I'm going to call it now.
It certainly is the potential, Jared. It is only lap 1 of an endurance race, though, so you don't want to show all your cards too early and go too hard out of the gate. But it's difficult to navigate at the best of times, turns 2, 3, and 4. And if someone trips up somewhere, or there's a little bit of side-by-side action and someone gets caught out, there could be a spin, there could be some contact, some heavy damage. A track blockage is very easy to find down between turns 3 and 4, and we could see a safety car here on lap 1. Hopefully we don't, but you never know, and it might just be able to stabilise things ever so slightly. There is your front row, Will Buchanan and Chris Burridge, 1 Ford, 1 Chev on the front row. Same with row number 2. So an even spread across that top 4, and then it's a few forward before we get back to Mark Poynton in position number 7. A fantastic race lined up with. I think we are not too far away from a green flag here.
Yeah, just looking at the timers from race control, we're probably, believe it or not, 30 seconds away from a start. They've given the drivers plenty of time, and fair enough too, to get everything all in order ahead of this race. I tell you what, I'm just really hopeful that tonight we see a very clean bit of racing, and no hardware failures would be nice. I'd hate for anyone to miss out on this race through a wheel failure or anything like that. So my only hope is that everyone actually makes it to the end here this evening. The likelihood of that's pretty low, I know, but stranger things have happened. And yeah, look, let's keep an eye on it and see what we've got here. The Buchanan Stone Street combo being picked by Matty Morgan as the top 2. Well, we're about to see how that unfolds. The green flag waved at the back of the field. We are bringing the revs up. The lights come up. And we are underway. That had to be a jump start for Burridge. Surely he was so quick off the line. I think he might have actually nailed it, though, as we come on down towards turn 1. Look at this, 3 wide behind him. He'll be very, very glad to be out in front of that huge slide already. That's Borg going sideways out, very, very wide in the background. Almost identical. And we've got a quantum car. We've got M1 racing cars there. 801's off. That's Paul Burns as well, getting caught up in it. Always going to happen in those early stages, but here we go down the back straight for the first time, and look at them absolutely shoot out. We've got a track blockage again. Would you believe? I think that's Paul Burns, and what has happened? We've got an M1 car with the rear wheels in the air. It's been completely lifted by one of the cars behind it. That might have even been just Darryl Callahan. I thought it might have even been Trav Daly again. Jeez, what a rough start for some of the drivers. Thankfully, plenty of time to make it up. Now, whether or not we see a safety car for that's a whole other question. But as it stands right now, Chris Burridge is out in front and making an absolute run away from Stone Street. Will Buchanan struggling to go with him. Logsdale with a black flag.
Black flag.
Which is really interesting because that is not a race control issue one. That's an iRacing black flag. I have no idea what's happened to Dean Logsdale, but he's going in for a drive-through.
That is fascinating. I don't know how he's got that, if that is iRacing issue, because we're only on lap number 1. Look at this start from Nick Geary. He's up to P number 7. Plenty of chaos in that opening lap. Everyone's still rolling. Simon Haynes did not make the start of this one, so unfortunately the 243 car...
He's in the chat right now. Simon Haynes, what are you doing, mate? I saw you out on track earlier. What is going on?
Thought he would be, thought he would be out there, but unfortunately, so Dean Logsdale right down the back of the field. He'll need a safety car to get back in this one as he trundles through the pit lane. But Chris Burridge out in front. He really did look like a jump start from Burridge, didn't it? But I guess he must have really just absolutely nailed it. That is fantastic. This is Phil Manuel. A great start to his partnership now, his new team from Elite Juice Racing, and he's got Nick Geary right in behind him. Mark Poynton also just in front. So we've got 3 cars for Juiced inside the top 10. Side-by-side action here between Chapman and Hayes, and Varga is going to try and get in a part of this as well and drive underneath. Chapman, who got caught out. Looks for Josh Harris in the background. He wants to make it 3 wide down the front straight. We're going to get a bit argy-bargy as we run down towards turn 1. We are 2 wide. That is Hayes and Varga. So Varga's found his way past Chapman, and now Harris is going to go the long way around on Chapman as well. Oh, sideways loose for Hayes, and it's going to catch out Josh Harris, who just avoids contact, but he's got caught up, and it's going to cost him places. Hayes is waiting, needs to sit there just until the train rolls by, so he does not have an unsafe re-entry. He finally is back rolling once again, but this is all happening on the opening laps. There's a number of cars that have been caught up in this. Dean Logsdale finally back out on track, 40 seconds down on Darryl Callahan. What an opening stanza to this race.
I tell you what, Sandown never fails to deliver. We are still on lap 3 here, folks. These guys have just gone absolutely helpful out of the gate.
54 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, that's a big stop and hold, and would have to be a jump start, you'd think. But it didn't come up straight away, so I don't know what's happened for Logsdale, but he has copped a stop and hold somewhere. It's really, really odd. I don't know what that's for Logsdale. Very unusual. There's something has gone very, very wrong there. Whether he's been caught up in enough incidents to cop that straight away, I'm not sure, but it looks like a stop and hold. So whether he... I'm at a loss. I'm at an absolute loss. It makes no sense to me. It was not a race steward decision. It was an iRacing issued automatic black flag for Dean Logsdale, and I cannot see any reason for it. Down the back straight we go. Look at him charge past 260k an hour on the way past the camera over the crest here. Just pure supercar, raw speed, raw power. It's everything you watch these supercars for, isn't it?
Certainly is. They look fantastic. Nick Geary roaring, trying to keep up with his teammate, both his teammates actually. Meanwhile, out in front, Stone Street's caught up to Burridge and is starting to put the pressure on. So that was about a second gap between the two. Only a lap or two ago, and now it is halves. A couple of tenths quicker on that previous lap again for Stone Street. He's finding pace early here. Pointing to manual. I believe the blue next to their name indicates that it is an invalid lap time, maybe?
Personal best.
Personal best. Personal best.
So
there you go.
There's look, and not surprising as the track starts to just spread out a little bit, and people get a little bit of air to work with instead of fighting for every inch of track. They've actually got some room to play with. But Burridge and Stone Street out in front. The gap to watch here is the one back to Will Buchanan, which just continues to come down as he ever so slowly chips away at this lap after lap. And you know, gaining a 10th around Sandown is honestly, it's one of the more difficult things to do compared to other tracks. It is such a short lap, and so much of it is just full throttle. You get everything, all of your gains made through your corner speed. And look at Buchanan, absolutely monster those curbs in the background as he sets about getting back in front.
Yeah, he's pushing, isn't he, Buchanan? He's desperate to try and make something happen to catch back up to this field, make up for lost time after pretty difficult start for him. Did not get off the line the way he would have wanted at all, and Burridge was miles clear of that second row and the rest of the field by the time we got to turn number one. Another black flag for Dean Logsdale. I do not know
what is going on.
What is going on?
For Logsdale.
That is fascinating. I don't know if someone in race control is listening. There's someone out there that could shed light onto what is happening for this car, but it has been a very difficult return to the series for Dean Logsdale. He's just been plagued with issues, black flags, getting caught up in incidents with other drivers that aren't necessarily his fault. It's just been a really difficult run. He had a great qualifying tonight, was on the second row of the grid, and here we go, watch along.
There's a little bit of creeping forward there. Just watching for this. He's definitely not jumped it, unless the tiny little bit of movement.
But they would have given that straight away. It's common with iRacing. If you jump the start, it's straight away a black flag. And look at that contact between Will Buchanan and Brian Borg, which sends Borg wide. It was 3 into 1, was never going to go. And then a bit of contact there. Look at that corner cut. And I don't know if it's that there and whether he gets the slowdown.
Has he not cleared the slowdown in time?
I don't know if maybe that is it. Maybe he has not cleared that slowdown in time. But I don't know what the other drive-through is for, because now he's out of the race. So he has retired from this one. We will not see Dean Logsdale again this evening. A difficult evening.
What a bizarre start.
Oh, yeah, that is incredibly bizarre. Here's Will Buchanan, by the way. He's caught right back up to the front two. And now all of a sudden we have a three-way fight for the lead of the race. Side by side, down towards the back end of the back straight. And Will Buchanan edges in front of Troy Stone Street, gets that position up into second now. Bence is lurking in the background as well, wants to be a part of this, so we will have a four-way battle for the lead of this race before too long. Stone Street will try and stay with Buchanan here, and he does. And look at this train of cars now. Look at Point in the background, also ready to be a part of this pretty quickly.
He's on his
way.
He is on his way. I saw him just pop into the bottom of our battle box there. Very, very briefly, which means he's getting to within a second of the back. It's, geez, what a start. We're not even 10 laps in and already just drama everywhere. Brian Borg back here, incidentally, looking up the inside of Chad Vigo. He's going to try and get this done under brakes. Goes very, very deep, but forces the issue, charges on through, and he'll pick up another spot, cements himself inside the top 10 for now. Let's talk fuel strategy here tonight. 80 litres on board, or just shy. I think it's 79.8 litres in the tanks at a 60% fuel limit here this evening. They have started with the full 80 litres on board, so they should get about 30 laps out of this initial tank if they want to run that distance. It does give them a little bit of room to play with in terms of pit strategy. You might be able to come in a little bit earlier both on this stint and your next one. Keeping in mind there's 2 compulsory pit stops. It's definitely going to be a 2-stopper tonight. There's no way around that. But you've got a little bit of room to play with perhaps dropping in just a little earlier and shaving a bit off the first and second stint to level out the tyres across the 3. But it's a hard call. I actually think, barring a safety car, I think most of these drivers will actually just run the full 30 laps for the 2 first stints and then have that final stint as a 20 lap with a bit more in the tyres towards the end to just really carry them home. Great question, Luke Orman. Where is the rain? There was the forecast of potential showers. Look, anything can happen, but I am seeing not a cloud. Oh wait, there was a cloud in the sky. Sorry, I'm seeing
a singular cloud.
2, maybe 3 clouds. It doesn't look a whole lot like we're actually going to end up with any rain here tonight. But stranger things can happen.
It's a long race, 80 laps.
Buchanan's going for it. He's looking at the inside. Oh, not quite there. Not the overlap that he needed. But geez, if that doesn't send a message to Chris Burridge, I don't know what will. Buchanan is very, very keen to get out in front. He's got plenty of pace. Stone Street and Bents are right there as well. Poynton is starting to get closer, but it's only by a tenth here or there. It's, yeah, these front 4, look at the pace from them. I really do want to go back and have a look, though, at Burridge's start, because it was an absolute blinder on that green flag. Let's see if we can, or we'll take a moment here, actually, because Buchanan was about to have a look up the inside into 1. I'm surprised he's poking the nose out. What he wants to do here is really be right in behind Burridge so he can get as much drive out of the sharp left in Pertec corner and try and get alongside down the back straight. This is going to be close. That's what this place needs. This is what iRacing needs, doesn't it, Orman? It's Luke Orman with a fantastic suggestion. Someone get out there with the hose and wet the track. I reckon we need some pop-up sprinklers that the admins can activate. That'd be fantastic. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Bernie Eccleston had this theory a number of years ago and everyone laughed at him. And well, I don't know whether it's a bad idea or not, but it certainly is a crazy idea. It would reinvent racing, that is for sure. They've talked about doing it at the NASCAR All-Star race to make things a bit more interesting on the oval, which I don't know how wet racing on an oval will go, but we'll have to wait and find out for now. Oh, the inside and down to the outside, so has to settle back in behind again. Bence is getting aggressive here. He knows he has the pace to move forward and try and stay with this front group. What it's going to do is cost some time. So Burridge and Buchanan, while they're battling, are still going at fairly close to full pace. If Bence does not get past Stone Street quickly and he goes up the inside into 1, deep under brakes, can he make that stick? He does. Buchanan has got a lot of intention. He's showing the nose pretty much every single corner, but that is a great move from Bence, an opportunity now to try and stay with him. This has allowed Poynton to close right in on Stone Street as well, so Poynton is in a position to capitalise, and Stone Street could be a bit of a sitting duck here to continue falling backwards if he's not too careful. They've broken away from Nick Geary, 4 seconds almost the gap back to 6th place. They don't have to worry too much about the cars behind at this stage. Look at Buchanan, aggressive under brakes, a little bit of a show of the nose once again. He is making sure that Chris Burridge is fully aware there is a AITX Revolution E-Racing Mustang right behind him. And I don't think Burridge could be any more aware that that car is there with the way that Will Buchanan is driving this. Look at just a little bit of a no-show into the final corner as well through turn 13. It's not really a corner though, you're flat out and it's a bit of a king. As they run down to turn 1, he's not going to be close enough again. He can't maximise the exit off the final corner to capitalise at the moment, Will Buchanan, and that's where he's struggling right now, is his corner exit. He needs more corner exit speed to be able to have the momentum down the straights to go past Chris Burridge into the braking zone. Can he do it here? Bence is right there as well, so if Buchanan isn't careful, he's actually going to find himself falling victim to Jason Bence, who has actually been really good at getting off the corners and always has been for a long time, ever since he's started racing. Really, he's been brilliant at getting off a corner exit with a lot more speed than the car in front and just finding a way past, creating opportunities. And Will Buchanan needs to take a leaf out of Bence's book if he wants to get past and into the lead of this race.
Well, the front 5 now, all very much in line here. I'm starting to wonder if Buchanan's maybe not actually pushing for the overtake quite yet. He seems pretty happy to sit in behind. He hasn't been quite close enough to make a move on it for a little while, but He's also probably sitting here taking advantage of perhaps just a little bit of fuel saving from being in behind Burridge. Quite happy for Burridge to punch the hole in the air ahead of him and just save him, even at the 10th a lap. It's all going to mean less time in the pit bay later. Plenty of action going on up here. There's another couple of little battle groups further back in the field while this has been happening, while we've been keeping our eyes up front. This one here is the one I've been watching on our telemetry. Phil Manuel, Brian Borg, Brett Horsell, Chad Figar, Ricky Hyde just holding on to the back of it. This battle around P10 just keeps showing up week in, week out. But it is where some of the key action is happening at the moment. But really, the battle at the front is where it's all at the moment. Here they come down through the S's again, and there is just less and less space between these cars every time they come through on these laps. Burridge is either he's controlling the pace here masterfully, or he is under immense pressure and just doesn't have anything else to give at the moment. And it makes me wonder if, what do you even do in terms of strategy here? Do you keep pushing along the front, or do you actually drop back in the pack and start to try and regain some of the fuel that you've burnt by being out in front? Just by sitting in for a little while, let someone else dictate the pace for a while. The danger of that, of course, is that if Buchanan gets out in front, there's every chance that he's just going to walk away. We've seen it many, many times already this season. If you give him that clean air, it's going to be very, very hard to keep with him.
Yeah, we know that Buchanan has the pace and ultimately can use that pace to just really distance himself from the rest of the field and take away the alternate strategies that some drivers may use. A showing of the nose there from Dale Callahan on Ash Hall. This is for 23rd, 24th, and sorry, that's Troy Sipple in front, but Ash Hall's behind in 25th place. Callahan now is going to pull alongside Sips down the front straight. Bit of damage on the front of that Quantum Ford Mustang for Troy Sipple, so he's found the wall or another car somewhere at some point. Ash Hall very deep on the brakes. There's contact between the teammates. That was a huge moment. He had the inside front massively locked into turn one, and that was a disaster waiting to happen for Ash Hall. He finally gets the car flicked around and moving on. Darryl Callahan, I think, saw his life flash before his eyes. Troy Sipple absolutely saw his life flash before his eyes and then saw Ash Hall into the side of him. That was a huge moment.
Yeah, I think Sips did a fantastic job to actually hold on to that and not have both the Quantum cars knocked out of contention completely. Ash Hall will have a bit of work to do to regather there. There's been a few things happen in amongst all of that, though. Andrew Hoffman's had a bit of a moment. Track Daly, I think, has been involved in that potentially as well. Will Buchanan's still sitting in. Jason Benz is now starting to just get familiar with the rear bar on Buchanan's car, and so I'm wondering if he's thinking about a move. Look at this, tucked in right underneath that spoiler. There is absolutely nothing in this for this front group, and everyone just waiting to see who blinks first. We're probably about halfway through their opening tank of fuel. I don't know what to expect here in terms of pit strategy, but I'm thinking that Buchanan or Benz, one of these two is going to be the first in, because they're going to want some clear air. Problem, of course, with Sandown, it's really, really hard to find that clean air, even if you do come in early. There's just cars right across this track at all times.
Yeah, it's really hard to spread out, isn't it, and find any sort of room or just track space that's all on your own. The thing that Jason Benz will want to do is put himself first in the queue to battle for the lead of the race. He won't necessarily want to go for the lead of the race, but he'll want to be ahead of Will Buchanan. That'll give him a little bit of an advantage over the man that he probably feels like he is battling, if these two are saving fuel like we think they probably could be at this stage, to extend and have to take less fuel as we get later into this race. That'll give them an advantage when we do get to the final stop, especially with the amount of fuel they're going to have to take on board at the end of this one. But Buchanan, he is putting the pressure on. He's just, he's putting the pressure on, but I think he's also just a little bit content sitting here. If there's a mistake from Burridge, an opening, a major opening, I think he'll take it. He won't just waste the opportunity. But at the moment, Burridge is driving beautifully, and Buchanan, while the pace is still not too bad, they're doing low 109s at the moment, so pretty good lap times. While they are doing those, well, I think he'll just be content to sit under the rear bar. They're catching a bit of lap traffic. This could be the opportunity to move ahead. if Ash Hall does not get out of the way as quickly as I think these guys would like him to as they come through turn 3. You can see Ash Hall just up further in front.
Look at Burridge moving actually all the way over. He doesn't want to give any slipstream at all here. He really wants to protect that inside line as they come down towards the S's, and you can understand why. Buchanan's got the nose in front. I think he's going to take it here. Burridge, was that actually a bit of a tactical position change from Burridge? Just get out of the way, lift the pace ever so slightly so he can drop back in one spot. I don't know if that's a great idea. You may be using more fuel out in front, but I would never be giving Buchanan that kind of space. And have a look at it. Burridge now really struggling to latch back onto the back of Buchanan's car, and Benz is going to continue to threaten as well. I don't know if that was intentional, but I'm not sure that was the play, because there goes Will Buchanan. It's out to 6/10 already. That's all he needed, was just that tiny invitation, and off he goes.
Yeah, it certainly was all he needed, all the invitation. There was, and as I said, he was probably content sitting in behind until there was a mistake somewhere from someone, and that was the opening that he probably was just looking for, to move ahead, jump up a couple of positions, or one position into the lead of this race. Benz will want to make quick work of this, though. He will not be content sitting in behind anymore. And this is in the wall for, who we're looking at here?
Alistair Bales.
Alistair Bales.
Through General
That's a heavy hit. Going to try and flick this car around before traffic gets there. And he does get the car turned and pointing in the right direction once again.
I thought we were in for a safety car, not yet.
It did look somewhat promising, I will say. But thankfully we get away with it. And this is the pressure that is being applied at the moment by Jason Bentz. He's searching for a way past, but I think Burridge is also really good at car placement. He's just stopping the guys behind from finding a way past. I'm having a quick look at this track map as well, in case someone like Bentz decides.
Oh, that's a big nudge for Harris.
Big nudge for Harris, and I think there might have been contact there. I'm not 100% confident, but if he has done that with help, that's a very awkward one. If he's done that on his own, that's even more awkward for Harris, but he was battling with Burns. This is Stone Street and Benson. I was just going to make comment. There's not really a massive gap between 13th and 14th, so between Verben and Daly, there's a little bit of a gap there on track, and then between 24th and 25th, so Vigar and Bales, there's also a little bit of a gap, as well as DeWitt and Brad Hayes. But other than that, that's really the biggest gaps on track. And once you come into the lane, you really, if you're not in one of those gaps, you are definitely going to struggle, because you'll be battling cars for positions, you'll be looking for a way past, much like you still are now, and it's not going to yield you any advantage. So while Jason Bentz will be desperate to clear Burridge, I'm not sure if the undercut is the play here to do that.
I think it's going to be really, really tough no matter which way you approach this, just for the sheer volume of cars out on this circuit. There's not going to be a lot. There was a really, really close to late decision from Benz. He had a very, very big think about sending it up the inside into one. Thankfully reconsidered it, because he really wasn't quite there. In the background, incidentally, Nick Geary and Brian Borg starting their own little battle here, and they are just off the front of this train coming through. So the top 10 or 11 cars really only separated into 3 groups at the moment. There's not a lot in this. As we see Chad Vigar just nudge off to the side. He's carrying a little bit of front end damage as well, so that'll hurt him down these straights in terms of top end pace that's available. It won't be much, but it might be just enough to see Ricky Hyde actually catch him. We're seeing Matty Morgan's keeping a pretty close eye for us on the.
He's playing weather-man.
Oh, look at this! Hang on.
Now look at that! Look at that! Look at that cloud cover coming across.
Okay, interesting. We're just going to have a
Trav Daly.
Trav Daly's picked one up as well. There you go. Now, I suspect that is for the early incident. I've had it sitting here in my little list for a while now to go back and have a look at, and I figure now's as good a time as any. I think it's probably something to do with one of these early incidents on lap 1. So Trav Daly rejoins here, straight across in front of Tommy DeWitt, and he'll stay out of the way. But then look at this mess that he has to navigate on the way through. We'll go back and we'll have a look at that in a moment. But I think that was Darryl Callahan with the wheels up in the air.
in the wall in the background. That's one
That's
of the
Chad Viger.
Enduro racing cars. That's a huge amount of damage on that car. He's trying to get it back, it would seem. That is a large amount of front end damage on the car for Chad Viger, and he looked like he was almost parked up in the wall there for a minute. Here we go. This will tell the story from the perspective of Ricky Hyde. So watch, this is Viger in front.
Just
massive spin and
just lights the
parking
rears
the
up.
wall.
Yeah. Easy to do coming out of there though. If you get
Very much
those
so.
rear tyres, that outside rear, even just a tiny bit up onto that curb. Look at the movement here. Jason Bent's throwing it all over the place. Gives a little bit of a nudge to the rear bar of Chris Burridge on the way into one there. Troy Stonestreet's wanting to have a go at this as well. Mark Poynton, I think, is probably taking the best possible approach, just keeping it calm, cool and collected at the back and waiting for these three to wipe each other out. There's no need to rush on. We're only lap 22 of 80. There's plenty of distance to go. But the thing that they're probably starting to worry about, look at the gap to Buchanan. Buchanan going past now at 4.5 seconds later, second place in Chris Burridge. Buchanan has got out in front and has just continued to extend lap after lap. He was a little slow in opening it up initially, but he has really put the foot down in the last 5 laps or so.
Yeah, and that's what I was looking at. I think Benson's starting to get a little bit impatient because he knows that Will Buchanan is disappearing. Burridge is struggling at the moment on this set of tyres, or maybe he's saving fuel, not sure, but either way, Burridge is not keeping up with Will Buchanan in the way that Jason Bents would be hoping he was going to be able to once Buchanan got past. So he wants to get this done, and he was desperate. He was so aggressive into turn one, so much intention, a little bit of a touch on the rear bar, and now that's a bit loose. A bit of a different line there from Burridge. It compromised him ever so slightly. Bents has closed that gap right back up now. Look how strong he is under brakes. Oh, into the wall! I was about to say how strong he was under brakes, but he got it all wrong. Into the outside wall between 2 and 3. Actually, between 3 and 4. And now that has cost him a whole bunch of time. And Troy Stonestreet will look to put the pressure on Bents, who, look, hopefully that car is okay. It was only a light contact with the wall, but nevertheless, that will be not, it won't be what he wanted to happen, that's for sure.
No, not ideal, but resets and hangs on to position for now. I've just been looking at the radar in the background, trying to do some guesstimation. I reckon we're about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes away from the rain arriving. There is a significant amount of rain on the way. It is not going to be just a little shower. It's going to be pretty significant, and it'll arrive, I would think. I mean, look, half an hour to 40 minutes away, a minute a lap. You're talking 30 to 40 laps from now. It's going to be here for the closing stanza of this race at this stage, unless the winds change. It's going to arrive right around lap 60, which means that'll be just about the right time. That's going to be really tough, actually. Lap 60 will be just about the right time for the final pit stop if you've run 2 full tanks through the car. So you're going to have to make a decision. If the rain's not here by lap 60, and most of these, well, that's the maximum distance these guys can make it, right? So they're going to have to make a decision on whether they put wets on or whether they chance it, get out there and try and run 20 laps on. Oh, Jason Bent sends it into Dandenong Road. He's going to get up the inside. Burridge left enough room. A little bit of a touch there. I think maybe a little net code in that one. Didn't look like there was quite the physical closure, but anyhow, done a great job. And Stonestreet goes through as well. So Burridge getting absolutely muscled at the moment, and Mark Poynton just doing it really, really calmly and comfortably. Lots and lots of space. He's going to get alongside now, look for the side draft, but he's going to go with Stonestreet. He'll be up the inside here, and Burridge is going to have to be very, very good under brakes. He's done a great job to keep Poynton at bay for now, but how long can he hold on?
That is what we'll be looking at. How long can he defend from Poynton, who looks incredibly quick? The question I have now is, what does Benz have in terms of pace? Look at how sideways Stonestreet is off the exit of 4. What pace does Benz have now that he's released from behind Burridge? How wounded is that car? I don't think it's overly damaged, but in saying that, we're about to find out, and this will tell the story as they push on. Burridge is coming back towards the rear of Stonestreet here, so drone cam following these guys as they run down towards Dandenong Road. Heavy onto the brakes. Off the corner, quite nicely. Look at all the dirt on the road from people that have run wide and just pulling that gravel onto the racing line, which makes it super difficult to find traction off the corner. Now, 26 laps in, we're approaching, well, we're over at 1/4 race distance. Poynton is in, Geary is in, Phil Manuel is in. So the Frog Leap Juice boys all going for the same strategy, and they are diving in at the start of the end of lap 25, start of lap 26.
I think this is the wrong call. I think this is the wrong call. That rain particularly changes absolutely everything about your pit strategy here tonight. You need as many laps spare as possible when that rain arrives. There's every chance it won't get here in time, but you're cutting 5 or 6 laps out of your first stint here by going in just that little bit earlier. And look, that's assuming that I've done the fuel numbers correctly, of course. So I could be off the mark, but you cut 5 or 6 laps out of here, it means you're going to have to come in for your second stop at around lap 55, which is just another 5 minutes earlier than you could otherwise get away with. And with that rain, look, again, I could be off the mark, but let's see how it unfolds. We are about halfway to where I think the rain is likely to start to threaten, but we're not close enough that I'd want to be in the pits just yet. That said, Buchanan's in, Chris Burridge has come in, so everyone's starting to get to the end of that first tank of fuel. I don't know, maybe they're keeping a bit of a closer eye on the rain than I am, but by the official forecast, the rain should be here sometime between, well, local time 10:30 and 10:45, so that's you've got 20 to 35 minutes before it arrives, which is still, look, at best it's 2/3 of a stint away in terms of as close as it'll possibly get, and that's the ideal. That's what these drivers will be hoping for, is that it does arrive in about 20 minutes and around about lap 50, so they can get the wets on and run it home on wets, because it does look like, look, it's not absolutely going to pelt down, but it's definitely going to be more than a light shower, I can tell you that much. I wish I had the weather radar mapped to actually show you here, folks. I apologise. We don't have that up at the moment.
Just noting, if everyone takes a nice little close look at their timing screens, look who's right underneath and not too far away from the back of Will Buchanan. That is one Mr. Brian Borg, who has served his first pit stop.
I sincerely hope that this is, I think Buchanan's made an absolutely critical error. Have a look at the reported tyre compounds. Oh dear, that is huge. If he is on wets, he's gone too early. He's had it set up for the rain, ready to go, and he hasn't changed it back to dries.
Is he going to dive in here?
He's coming in. He's straight in. Yep, he's going to have to change tyres again.
That is massive. That is a massive. That is a costly mistake for the championship leader, and one that he is going to kick himself over. What it does is, at the moment, hand the lead of this race to Brian Borg, who has come from absolutely nowhere, from the back of the top 10 after that lap 1 issue, to be in provisional lead of this race. Jason Bentz is into the lane, so he was at the front of the field, so he was leading this race. He was just behind, just in front of Chris Burridge when this stop happened. I think it's going to be pretty close between Borg and Bentz here, but I think Bentz comes out just behind him, and as a matter of fact, Borg will inherit the lead of this race. Here is Brian Borg. Bentz is now serving his stop. He's about 12 seconds into a 26 to 28 second stop. Some people going up to around 30 seconds. Will Buchanan has come in, put 11 seconds to just put a set of tyres on to get onto the dries. But that is a very costly mistake, and it's changed the entire complexion of this race and just how things look. Look for the cars at the exit. Bentz is leaving his booth now. I think Borg's going to get him, and he does. He actually has to fall in behind his teammate here. This could cost him. He's had to jump out behind one of the other Quantum cars, and he's actually going to lose that to everybody.
It's either Ashwell or Scott Perrins. It's Scott Perrins. There you go. Scotty Perrins has come out in the middle of it. But he's got to get out of the way of the teammate. Look at Bentz diving side to side. He wants to get through desperately, but just not happening in the background there at the moment.
He's lost so many positions as a result.
Yeah, that is rough. A lot of work for Bentz to do to get back into this group. Stone Street's in, Varga's in. Abel Verban and Josh Harris out in front haven't come in yet, but Brian Borg, tell you what, that early stop has worked for him. He came in on lap 24. I'd say early. It's not super early, but it's a little bit earlier than the rest of the field, and he's made the absolute most of his track position in the clear air. But is it going to cost him when the rain arrives? Is he going to be out there on wets too early? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if the rain's going to arrive early enough to make that a viable option. And there's no way to know, really, until we actually see it start to fall here at Sandown.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to have to keep a very, very close eye on here, is exactly what this weather is doing, what it looks like when it does get here in about half an hour's time, if we are predicting that. Trav Daly is playing the ultimate team game right now. He is defending for his life for his teammate Chris Burridge. He's yet to stop in this race, Trav Daly, and he's just making sure that Mark Point, Nick Geary and Jason Bentz, and indeed Stone Street, has actually come out behind Bentz. So the guys that were second and third, or second and fourth on the road, are now 6th and 7th. On correction, it will be 5th and 6th. This is Phil Manuel, who has lost out as well in these pit stops. He's trying to find a way past Brett Horsell, dives to the inside, shows the nose at the very, very fast left-hander on the run down towards Dandenong Road, but not able to get past, shows the nose once again. Horsell a little bit all over the road there in the braking zone, trying to cover off the... Oh, and sideways! That's Nick Geary. Lost a handful of positions. Done well to catch that. I thought he was going into the kitty litter for sure on the outside, but he's caught that beautifully. Trav Daly is finally in the lane. We don't know quite what happened there for Nick Geary. Stone Street and Benson now battling it out for 4th and 5th place, but that has opened up Mark Poynton to be 3. This is Nick Geary. Keep an eye here. There's Jason Bentz behind. Is there contact between the two of them there? Oh, doesn't look like there is. That could be netcode.
I think there's a bit of netcode contact there. There was visible gap between them, but I think that the sim has picked up those guys touching, and look, whether that will be NFA because of the netcode or not is a tough call, and I wish the guys in race control all the best figuring that one out. It's always a tough one. Always a tough one. The field getting really, really spread out here all of a sudden. That little bit of a skirmish has opened up a whole bunch of gaps, and there's really only this trio that are close together at the moment. Manuel, Horsell and Vigar just at the back end of the top 10. A great opportunity for me to go back and take a look at a few key moments here this evening. And we're going to have to go a long way back to see some of the early ones. The one that I've been really keen to have a look at is to see just what happened to Darryl Callahan, I think it was, who ended up with his rear wheels in the air all the way back on lap 1. Let's see what we can see here. Oh, Paul Burns is in the background, has had a whole bunch of other issues, but Darryl Callahan, have a look at this. He's trying desperately to get moving.
Sipple.
And Sipple's ended up just underneath.
Oh.
I don't even know how that's happened. We'll see if we can get a better view of this. It's already happened by this point, so I don't quite know how that's happened there. But this might give us a bit of an idea of it. Sips comes up the inside. I don't know if there's any. Well, they've just tried to go 3 or 4 wide. Gets checked up, and yeah, look, that's Callahan lifted, and look at the tyres spinning. I've never seen a car lifted that far off the ground with iRacing, and you know what? Maybe something to have a bit of a look at in terms of the tyre smoke while you're in the air. That doesn't seem. That's probably the one moment of unrealistic car behaviour I think I've ever seen in iRacing.
Yeah, it's certainly.
Maybe I'm being too kind about tyre bundles though. Let's not go too far down the rabbit hole of tyre bundles.
Yeah, let's not open that can of worms. Absolutely, I think we'd be here all night if we started that can of worms. But Jason Bentz is closing up to Mark Poynton. Haven't seen too many penalties come through from race control this evening, so whether they're still deliberating, but Bentz is actually, I think Poynton's actually made that quite easy for him. And very deep, very wide there. Will that be a slowdown for Bentz? I think he's gotten away with it, but it looked a bit. Hey, going across the curbs there for a moment. He got control of the car though. pulled it up at Dandenong Road, and we'll push on in position number 3. Some 2.5 seconds behind Chris Burridge. Look at this start from Jason Bence. Look at the start from this man, Chris Burridge, actually. Absolutely nails it. That is perfect. Could not convert that any better if you tried.
No, he's put the extra sticky tyres on for the start of the race, and it's paying off for him so far. It's kept him in the hunt the whole way, as well as a bit of help from his teammate in Trav Daly, just holding everyone up behind him for as long as he possibly could. It's starting to close up again, but for Ben's Point and Stone Street, I mean, Burridge will be hoping these guys just continue battling behind him here, and that he doesn't have to worry about them catching for a little while yet. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, the other moments that we've seen here tonight already, as everyone does start to settle in. We're waiting on the rain. It's on its way. It's definitely on its way. The question will just be when it arrives. This moment for Ash Hall coming into one. Watch him lock it up here behind Troy Sipple. Big slide and up and over the curb. Very, very lucky for Sips to get away with that. He did a brilliant job to hold on to it. While that's been happening, Trav Daly had his own incident. I don't know if Andrew Hoffman was actually involved, but I think he might have been. The Chubby Buns replay, actually it's been completely separate, so Hoffman has Trav Daly does go in the back of him and then pulls up and waits to redress that. So just a bit of a nudge coming through Dandenong Road. It's not unusual through there. The Chubby Buns replay though, capturing it all.
Can't hide from the Chubby Buns replay.
Nope, caught in 4K, I believe the kids say.
Absolutely. And it certainly is in 4K here on the Simple Broadcast YouTube channel. So
we can legitimately say that, can't we? Caught in 4K.
We can say caught in 4K. And if you're not watching in 4K, then why are you not watching in 4K? It's fantastic.
You're missing out, folks.
Cars
put it up on the TV.
You are. Yeah. Oh, please put it on the television. It looks spectacular. I don't think anyone's a fan of the sound of their own voice. I certainly am not. But watching these cars on TV it's brilliant. It's like watching the real thing, really. And the amount of pit times we have people come in that get a bit confused and think this is the real thing and then are disappointed to find it's iRacing, I think that's fantastic, especially with the quality we have here. Look at this side-by-side action between Harrison.
There was absolutely contact there.
It was abs. He did very much get a helping hand. It was hard to tell at the time the way the camera panned, but looking back on it from the chopper cam, again, cannot hide from the Chubby Buns replay. It finds all, it knows all, it sees all. And if you've done something a little bit naughty, we will find it. We will make sure the Chubby Buns replay catches you out. And unfortunately, for, I think it was Paul Burns that had the contact with Josh Harris there. There's nowhere to hide. This is Chris Burridge and Jason Bence. Deep on the brakes into Dandenong Road, and that is the dive bomb move that Jason Bence put on. The resulting contact between Burridge and Bence, a little bit of a nudge to try and upset that car, but was not able to do so. And now the battle resumes, albeit with Burridge back in front of Bence after the pit stops, Poynton in 4th place, not too far behind, and Stone Street trying to put a bit of pressure onto Poynton. We're getting close to the halfway mark now, folks. Lap 37 of 80. Rain, we think within the next half an hour, surely. At this rate, we're watching the clouds in the background. As they go down the back straight, you'll be able to see that cloud cover moving in and across. And just exactly what is happening with the sky right now here in Sandown. I saw the comment earlier, it's 10 seasons in a day. If you don't like the weather outside, just wait about 10 minutes and it will change. And that certainly does epitomise the weather here in Melbourne. But it's taking a little bit longer for that weather to come across at the moment, Jared. We are keeping a close eye on it.
Yeah, I've got the radar up in the background. There is... Look, there's definitely some lighter showers in it, but there is a big old chunk of some pretty solid rain not too far behind the cloud front, and it is headed directly for the circuit at the moment. Plenty of wind pushing it along. We're seeing about 20k an hour winds, 25k an hour winds, maybe even up to 30, which is really moving that cloud towards us pretty quickly. The forecast is still showing for this to arrive in about, look, it'll be sometime between 10 and 25 minutes from now. So the iRacing forecast gives us a current forecast, and then every 15 minutes from the what do you call them? I suppose the cardinal times. It's still saying fine and sunny at 10:30 local time, which is about 7 minutes from now. But it is showing a 100% chance of rain 15 minutes after that. So the likelihood that we're not going to get rain before this end of the race, completely gone. It's absolutely going to happen. The only question will be how much and at what point, but it is very, very much on the way. And these drivers need to be thinking about getting these tyres to last until it's time to come in and put the wets on. It's going to be a really, really close thing here, I think.
Close is a little bit of an understatement, I feel. At this stage, this Ben's still putting the pressure on. The question will be, Brian Borg, who has checked out here, what does he have in terms of fuel? Can he wait long enough for this rain to come to not have to take a second stop and then in turn have a third stop? What has happened to Nick Geary? A bit wide coming to Sandown Road. Brings a little bit of gravel and dust onto the circuit to help everybody just clean their tyres off and make sure they're taking optimum care of these slick tyres we have at the moment. Jason Bence, this is Troy Sipple actually that we're watching, coming through the S's at the back onto Dandenong Road and up the inside. He's got a little bit deep there. I think that was letting Brian Borg go actually.
Get out of the way of Borg, so.
It was, checked out, but the question for me is what does he have in terms of fuel? Because if you have to come in before this rain gets here, and then the rain, we know it's coming, so it'll be heavy enough that you will need wets at some stage in this race. That could backfire on Borg. Granted, he did only stop a lap before the likes of Mark Poynton and Phil Manuel, but someone like Jason Bence stopped about 4 laps later on lap 28. Troy Stonestreet stopped on lap 29. So they have a bit more of a leeway and a few more laps in hand for that rain to arrive and the circuit to start to get into a bit more of a damp state where you do need the wet. So it's going to be difficult for Borg here, and if I was him, I'd probably be saving a little bit of fuel out in front.
Yeah, look, he's certainly not looking to back it off. He's out to almost 6 seconds at certain points around this circuit. So Origin Bence battling it out here. They're actually just allowing Borg to run further and further away, and every little bit of distance that he gets here is only going to set him up better for later on the race, because it's time to burn. You know, it's time that he can afford to potentially back off. If he does have to put the wets on a little bit early, it means that he's got a little bit of time to back off and not quite work them so hard before the track does get that good soaking into it. Oh, here we go. Bence has had a big look up the inside again. He's done it again. We saw him do it earlier to Burridge here, and he's made it happen again. Burridge just gets taken up the inside of Dandenong Road. Mark Poynton really trying to find a way to follow through and just can't quite get there. Troy Stonestreet just along for the ride at the moment, but this group have been at it all night so far. We're just past the halfway point. 125 k's down, a little bit less than 125 k's to go now. But at the halfway mark, it's just about anyone's podium. Brian Borg has it all to lose out in front, but he continues to extend. He's out to almost 7 seconds now. He's pushing on really, really fast. To his credit, in the Cup Trophy class, Nick Geary sitting in 8th has a massive gap over second place in Paul Burns. I'm just looking, Will Buchanan at the moment sitting in 11th place. So that wet tyre kerfuffle has really cost him a significant amount of time and track position. Having to come back in and get those drives back on, it's going to be really, really tough for him to pull anything back here. He's going to be praying for a safety car.
Yeah, praying indeed. He would be incredibly hopeful that a safety car will be just allowing him to get back into a part of this race. He is working, just looking further back into this pack. There's a number of drivers that are on the fight back here in this one. Darryl Callahan putting in the work to try and get back through this field. He's actually back to where he started, but I feel like he would have been hoping for a bit more out of this one so far. Trav Daly's still 3 spots down from where he started putting in some work as well. This is Chad Vigar. Will Buchanan 5 seconds away from this group and putting in the work to try and catch up. He is consistently lapping quicker than these guys. We'll get a bit of data when he does cross the line, and he was 6 tenths quicker 8 tenths quicker on the previous lap than these guys, Horsell and Vigar, who are battling in the 10. You can see In the background there, Will Buchanan, who
Oh, a long way
is
back though, isn't
4
he?
seconds away. He is a long way back, but, and I believe that is actually Rick Vigar and Scotty Perrins in front of him. So he actually has lap traffic to navigate before he gets to the other Angry Birds car in Chad Vigar, who's battling with Brett Horsell. So he's a long way back, but that gap has halved in the last couple of laps. He was 10 seconds away only 4 or 5 laps ago. So he is slowly working away at those gaps. I think a safety car is what he really needs to get right back into this fight. That was a very costly mistake putting on the wets, and one that I'm certain he will not make again. He'll be very aware that there is weather coming, but he'll have both dries and wets ready to go, and he'll make sure that he has the right tyres on this time. I know there's a few drivers that, well, pretty much everyone will make a mistake like that. You'll make it once, you'll kick yourself, and then you'll make sure you never do something like that again. So expect every pit stop from Will Buchanan from now on to be flawless. Mark Poynton putting the pressure on Burridge, but just not able to find a way past, much like Jason Bence. Burridge has been very difficult to pass this evening. We saw this with Buchanan. We've seen it with Bence a couple of times already. Burridge is very good at positioning that car in a way and just driving it off the corner in a way that makes it super difficult for anyone to find a way past. He has had fantastic car control, and while he may not feel like he's probably had the pace of the guys around him, and the fact that Borg and Bence, once they're passed, are able to just drive off into the distance, he has had fantastic, he's got some fantastic defensive moves so far this evening that have just really kept him in this fight.
Yeah, plenty of good action on track. Those clouds just getting closer and closer at the moment, and the driver's getting a bird's eye view every single time they come down that front straight. They're just watching them, just climbing the horizon and starting to approach the circuit here. This is going to be really, really interesting to see how much of the final stint is really affected for these drivers, because it will absolutely be the last 20, maybe 25 laps that are going to be rain affected. It's probably about when the final stint should have been, but so many of these drivers coming in before the last lap possible to get fuel on board and get a fresh set of tyres. I will tell you right now, folks, the ones to watch in this race, if the rain arrives when we're expecting it to, the ones to watch for me will be Trav Daly. Currently P15, he pitted on lap 30, so he went the full distance on that opening tank, ran it right down to empty to extend as far into this second stint as possible. There's a couple drivers that'll be pretty close. Troy Stone Street was in on 29. Steve Varga and Abel Verban both in on 29, as was Josh Harris. And look, Rick Vigar, unfortunately, a lap down, pitted on lap 30. I don't know if he's close enough to make much of a play for it, unfortunately. But there will be, Phil Manuel has had a really awkward moment coming out of one there, and he's managed to get it going again. He's only lost one spot for the moment, but Chad Vigar and Brett Horsell will be very, very grateful for the opportunity. Yeah, look, I think the early stop from Brian Borg's going to hurt him. 24 laps, 6 laps, it's only 6 minutes, but 6 minutes could be the difference between the arrival of that rain or not before you get that final set of tyres on for the night here. Look, Abel Verban...
Trev Daly's just stopped.
Well, Trev Daly coming in. Well, that's... Why?
Interesting call.
Why, Daly? Why have you come in now?
Seems unnecessary, doesn't it? It's extremely unnecessary.
It's going to make it a 3-stop race for him. That's really, really
odd. Take him
odd.
right out of it.
Yeah, unless we miss something, I think that's going to be the end of his race. Really, I can see what he's trying to do. I think he's come in to get just a quick top up to try and extend his time out there so that he can stay on the dries a bit longer. So I don't mind it. And look, as far as circuits to do it at, Sandown being such a short lap, I think it probably actually punishes you a bit more for coming into the pits like that than it would at other longer circuits. I can see what he's trying to do. if he can extend the fuel a bit and stay on the dries until the very last minute, he's not going to have to come in and make a choice about wets before the rain arrives. So he's going to get perhaps a little bit longer on dries than some of the other drivers, or he's counting on them having to make a third stop to switch to wets. I don't think anyone's in a position here where they're going to be able to make their second stop and put the wets on and not burn them up. I don't think anyone's going to get to the end of this second stint until, well, I think they're all going to be there before the rain arrives, is what I'm trying to say. Spit it out, Jared, honestly. But I think they're all going to run out of fuel before the rain arrives, and so they're going to have to make a really tough call as to whether they put the wets on or if they get back out on dries and come back in for a quick change of tyres. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think Daly's approach to a three-stop is the better one here, but I actually don't think a three-stop is a great choice overall because of how much time you lose around Sandown.
Yeah, there certainly is setting up to be quite an interesting strategy at play here. Paul Burns is, Will Buchanan is technically served 2 pit stops, but he will have to come in again. That second pit stop was just for tyres. But there's a number of drivers that are starting to tick off that second pit stop that probably don't need to at this stage, and it's very, very interesting to see. The strategy that plays out here is going to be fascinating. You can see that cloud cover coming across. We're not too far away from getting rain here, I would imagine.
Now, I'm gonna a bit of fourth wall breaking here for you folks. I hate to do this, but I also hate to leave you without visibility of the radar. So I'm gonna drag that onto the screen for us. That is what's on its way, and you can see there is significant rain that is not too far from the circuit at the moment. It's still predicted for some time in the next 10 minutes. So we are 5 to 10 minutes away from that rain arriving, and that will be that high wind has made a huge difference. I think that might just save a few of these drivers who pitted earlier. Another 5 laps is certainly possible for most of these drivers, and that could be all they need to be able to get out on the wet tyres and run the final stint. If that's the case, Trav Daly's going to be absolutely kicking himself for coming in early. But I think Brian Borg's at risk here, and it's going to be fuel. He's really probably at most he's going to have about another 6 laps up the sleeve, maybe. It's going to be very, very close for Brian Borg, and I think he's just going to have to bite the bullet and put the wets on before the rain arrives, and just take significant care of them until it does start to come down here.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around some of the numbers at the moment, and just what some of these guys may be thinking while they're out on circuit. And with this weather coming, we saw that it just showed the weather radar there and just what is on the horizon for some of these drivers. Look, Brian Borg, he's still 6 seconds away. He's doing 109s. It's nothing crazy. He's actually lapping a little bit quicker than Jason Bence right now. Bence has just improved by only a little bit, about a 10th on that last lap. So he's found a 10th over Brian Borg, but they're pretty much at a stalemate, just trying to keep those laps consistent. This group here, though, as Bence has broken away by about 4 seconds. So you've got Burridge, Point and Stone Street all in a little battle pack. Here you can see one of the M1 cars, and that's Trav Daly actually sitting in the background just off this little group. And he is a lap down. There is the weather radar once again. You can see what is coming, and it's not far away from being here and coming down at the circuit. You can see there's a bit of a haze in the background. That is the rain off in the distance that is approaching this circuit. So we're lap 50. We're well past the halfway point. We're almost, I would say, 3/4 race distance.
We're within
just
the
around
pit window now. We are within the pit window now to get home on a fuel tank. A fuel tank? A full tank. My goodness. So...
Same thing.
Yeah, look, same. I think we're going to be fine here. but geez, it was cutting it fine. If this rain, the problem is not the distance home from here. The problem is what these guys have in the tank. We're inside the window to get home on a full tank. We're also at most 10 laps from running dry for any of these drivers. And it's less for a few. Realistically, Brian Borg probably about 3 laps away at the moment. So keep an eye on him in the tower. I think he'll be into the pits probably lap 55 if he can make it there. It's likely to be lap 54 that he has to come in if my fuel numbers are any good anyway. But he's going to have to put wets on. He's got no choice, and he's just got to hope that the rain arrives in the next few minutes. It's getting close for sure, and it's probably close enough that he won't be super concerned. But he's going to burn through some of the wet tyre grip. There's no two ways around it.
Yeah, he's definitely going to burn through some struggle. Look at the Benz has actually closed in on about half a second on Borg in this lap just gone. Pointing's dropping off a little bit here from Burridge, and this is Nick Geary in behind Ricky Hyde.
Will Buchanan sneaking into the battle box as well.
So you can see just ever so slightly over the last couple of laps, Will Buchanan has started to move forward. He's navigated his way through the back end of the top 10 now. He's getting towards the middle of the top 10 with these two, and they're having their own little battle. They're not looking behind at Will Buchanan that's coming. They're focused on each other. Nick Geary's looking forward. Ricky Hyde's looking backwards at this Frog Juice Racing Mustang that is filling his rearview mirrors. They are not concerned about Will Buchanan, but they're about to have to be very, very concerned about Will Buchanan because he is pretty much there.
Yeah, he is right on them at the moment. The interval between Buchanan and Borg are currently sitting somewhere around about 22 to 23 seconds. It's not quite a half a pit stop. So it's close. It's close, I can tell you that. Oh, James Scott with a fantastic point. Someone needs to tell Buchanan, now that he's fixed it to put the slicks back on, he needs to make sure he does actually put wets on when he comes in. Because, geez, wouldn't that be an absolute clanger to have to fix your tyres twice in a race?
Yes, that would not be ideal at all. But
here it is. The rain's here.
Here it is. The rain. So the rain at the south end of the circuit. I don't know if it's raining at the top yet, but it certainly is raining down at turns 2, 3, and 4. They run down the back straight now. The rain's still on your screen. This will give us an idea, and it's stopped. So it's not made it to the back end of the circuit yet. This is going to be the tricky part because this circuit, while it's a quick lap, is so long that it's going to be raining very wide. There goes Nick Geary. He did not have the grip on turn-in. I wonder if that's a little bit of maybe the rain, but he's just also not had the grip on turn-in there at the back end of the straight, and this is going to be the hard part. So Hoffman's into the lane. Does he put on wets here and try and go for? Bill Manuel's coming in. It's raining at the front straight. And in goes Ricky Hyde. So Ricky Hyde is also in. He pitted, it doesn't tell me when he pitted last, but he is now in. Will Buchanan's pushing on. It is very much raining at the front end of this circuit. The back straight, however, you can see here on the camera, there is no rain here yet. There we go. It's finally started.
The iRacing cameras are a little bit janky with the zoom levels and actually showing the rain. So yeah, look, it's absolutely here. The question is, when does it start to actually pour down? Brian Borg, though, he will be stoked to see this because it means he's made it on this stint, and he's got to come in here. Sure enough, there it is.
He does.
Lap 54, just as promised, folks. My fuel numbers are on the money for a change. I love it. Mark Poynton getting a bit of a move here if he can on Chris Burridge. And Burridge wants to go into... Oh, that's really awkward. Burridge barely gets across. It puts a massive damper on Troy Stonestreet's run, and Poynton's going to take full advantage of that. Now, Poynton will want to put in... He's going to have to come in this lap as well.
Interesting.
He has to come in this lap because he came in on 25. This is going to be the last lap of fuel he has, so he's timed to perfection. The thing to watch now, of course, is if anyone has forgotten to change to wets, and I'm watching carefully. Buchanan's into his pit bay now. We've just got to wait and see if he does actually flick over.
Yep, he's on wets. He's flicked to wets. So Brian Borg is back out on the wet tyre. 29 seconds he was stopped in the bay to make sure he can get home from here. Poynton. What does he do here? What does Benz do here as well? They can't stay out too much longer. Otherwise, it'll start to get too wet. They'll lose the advantage off the road in the foreground. That's one of the Juiced Frog Leap cars. I think that's maybe Phil Manuel. It is. Does look like Phil Manuel. And he's got his teammate coming quickly behind at a rate of knots. Does he dive in here? I think he's going to have to, and he does. He chooses to go in. Look at the spray starting to kick up from Phil at the back of Phil Manuel's car. And Troy Stone Street's going to... This is bold. This is a very bold call. The spray is starting. You can see it's very minimal, but it is there for Stone Street to continue, for Benz to continue, and he's off the road. He is off the road. That says that there is no grip. There is no grip at turn 2 and 3 at the moment. It is wet out there, and staying out for this extra lap could hurt Benz and Stone Street dearly.
You can see the rain absolutely falling at the moment. It's not a monsoon, but I don't think we're into the worst of it yet either. Honestly, I think there's more to come. We'll take a quick look. Here's your radar. We're actually just about to hit the heavier rain now, so it's only been a pretty light shower, but we're about to get some significant downpour on the track. So if they're not thinking about coming in now for the wets, you would have to be. It's a rocks in your head moment. Surely
needs to come in now.
No, Benz is going to continue
staying out.
Look, he's got to make the call here, doesn't he? Has to make the call on
it's on a 1 minute
the
13
grip levels that are available. Yeah, 1:13. So he's only what 5 or 6 seconds off dry race pace as he catches up to Nick Geary.
He's catching Nick Geary, who's on wets.
Stone Street's in. Abel Verban's the other one to watch. He's still out there on dries. He's up 14 positions right now. He's going to drop a fair way when he does come into the pits, but he's making the most of still being on the dries. And this is where you've got to find that tip over point. A lot of these drivers had no choice but to come in and get the wets on because they needed the fuel. Jason Benz, he's got one more lap after this one in his tank. So if he doesn't come in now, it's going to be next lap. But he has used this to almost perfection in terms of the time out on the dry tyres. He's still putting in good lap times, and the times that we're seeing, I mean, we haven't really seen much in the way of wet tyre times yet. Scott Perrins ran a 1:16 on the last one. Benz is struggling. He's got to come in here, surely. Yeah,
this has to be it, and it is, yeah. And he's in. He's trying to feel that slowdown before he gets there as well. Borg did a 1:16 on the last lap, so it was a 1:13 plays a 1:16. I think this is pretty much the crossover point now. So Benz is, I think, going off the circuit there has told him all he needs to know about where we are at in terms of the grip level. So it's going to be interesting because Benz has had a couple laps here of a decent advantage in terms of the track not being as wet as the tyres would need it to be. This is. We're looking at Josh Harris.
Had a bit of a moment there through Dandenong Road, but continues on.
Keeps
Keep
going.
your eye on that tail though. Benz is on the way to the exit, so this is going to be close. But I actually think Benz is going to come out with a bit of an advantage over Borg here. And sure enough, he's out on the circuit as Borg come. Jason Benz has done a phenomenal job managing the fuel and actually using almost the entirety of his tank in both stints. It's as much luck as anything else, I'm sure, but the rain has arrived at just the right time for Jason Benz, and he currently holds a 5-second gap to Brian Borg, who in turn holds 6 seconds further back. Now, Abel Verban is still, he's out on wets now, so he's coming in on the last lap as well, and we're actually back on lap 56, sorry. So he's a couple laps into this, but just struggling to find the grip at the moment. We don't have many drivers that are too close together at this stage. The second pit stop has really spread this field out across the entirety of Sandown. And there are cars everywhere, but not a lot of them in close proximity. Chad Viger and Brett Horsell here at the back end of the top 10 are by far the closest.
Off the road.
and still struggling to get the cars pulled up there as they try and navigate just the build-up of rubber on the road and the change in grip that a bit of rain brings on that section of the circuit. It's obviously going to cause all sorts of dramas, and I don't think we're going to have necessarily a completely clean run home here.
It's I don't think the story's told yet. We've still got 20 laps to go, and we are, Brian Borg doing 1:17s. Jason Bence, I was concerned when he went off the road at turn 2 and 3 that was pretty much the ball game for Benson, that he'd stayed out a little bit too long, but
I think he's done it again. He's just picked up a slowdown.
He has picked up a slowdown, but it turns out he absolutely nailed it. He pitted at just the right time. He maximised the track conditions and the track temperature, and used the heat in those dry tyres that he already had, the residual temperature, to his advantage, and has found himself, well, he's had to clear a slowdown, so he's only 3.2 seconds clear now, but he's still well clear of Brian Borg. Borg is putting in the lap times. He could close up here in the wet if it keeps going the way that it's going. He has to navigate his way past Josh Harris, who is sitting in 14th at the moment, and as a result, a lap down. So 14th onwards is now a lap down in this field. This is Rick Vigar. What has happened to the Emmenberg racing car?
It's happening every time. There's no grip there at all.
The one advantage, I think, because we see this in real life as well, as soon as it's wet, turn 2 becomes like an ice skating rink. The one advantage that we have in iRacing is it won't become a mud pit like it normally does. So no one will be going off the circuit and creating a nice big mud bog hole and dragging mud back onto the circuit, which is probably ideal for these conditions.
I think we need to write to iRacing about that and get that fixed, don't we?
I think we do, but I think the drivers will be very glad for it at this current moment in time. Borg's just lost a lot of time to Benz. He's lost about 2 seconds on the previous lap, so there's been a mistake somewhere for Borg that has cost him a considerable amount of time, and he's now back up to 5.3 seconds.
I wonder if it's just been awkward getting past Harris more than anything else.
That is a possibility. He was a second slower in total on the previous lap, but is released now, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that time and how it goes. Navigating his way through. Look at how loose he is. Coming down towards Dandenong Road. Nick Geary with a slowdown as well. That could be for turn 2 as well. It has to be, given the location of where he is. Yep. Yeah, that has to be for turn 2. And I think we're going to see that from a number of drivers inside his last 20 laps.
Now this is about the only battle pack on circuit at the moment. Vigar, Horsell and Phil Manuel, 9th, 10th and 11th as they come down the back straight. Everyone else with a good couple of seconds to play with, and I think it's only going to get more and more complicated as Tommy DeWitt finds a slowdown through the S's and finds himself off at Dandenong Road. So there's definitely some struggles behind in the background. That's Chad Vigar as well. Rick Vigar, sorry, has had a bit of a moment, although that might have been him following Chad in there. It's starting to get very, very wet out there. The rain is coming down harder and harder as time goes on, and with still 19 laps to go, it's not a long time, but it's certainly plenty of time for this to get pretty wild out there.
Yeah, there is no doubt that there is a lot of time for things to go wrong for pretty much everybody. Borg is putting in the work and chipping away ever so slightly at Jason Bence as this race goes on. Ricky Hyde with a slowdown now, and that'll be for turn 2 and 3 and shortcutting that again. So that is the story that continues. Stephen Varga's now got one for probably the exact same thing, I would imagine.
Same spot, exactly the same spot.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You look at the slowdown flag, the yellow flag come up for these drivers, and then you look at where they are on circuit and you go, yeah, I know exactly what that is for. The spray has increased dramatically in the last lap or two. There is so much more standing water starting to form out there. These curbs will become like ice. This is the sketchiest part of the circuit. There's a little bit of front-to-nose contact, front-to-rear contact with Manuel and Horsell, as Manuel struggles to get it pulled up. I think it was caught out by the lack of grip there as they ran in towards the end of the road. Look how loose Horsell is in front. He is all over the shop trying to get this car stopped and just hold on to it. There is, again, a lot of standing water out there that is starting to make these cars difficult to control. You want to get the power down, but if you hit a puddle, there's wheel spin, it's just going to factor in and Phil Manuel is going to walk past Horsell as they run down towards turn 1, and I think Horsell just is letting him go. He doesn't really want to have to try and battle in these conditions. Very wide in the background for Chad Varga off the road. Gets it back on pretty quickly. And Bruce Horsell is in the background, just trying to get the power down, but with how wet it is, the tyres are struggling for grip, and the thing with the supercar, it's hard to get the power down at the best of times, let alone when you're in wet conditions with a little bit of standing water.
Andrew Hoffman and Scott Perrin's having a bit of fun back here, as is Rick Varga, who found himself struggling through turns 2, 3, 4 as well. It's starting to be a bit of an issue, isn't it? Tony Chapman picking up a slowdown through the S's. Andrew Rushworth chipping in with what was on my mind a little earlier. I wasn't sure whether to call this out, but seeing as you've taken us there anyhow, that is one of the choices that is made across not only ASR but a number of the Gen 3 Supercars league, the big leagues that you do see here on iRacing and certainly in the Australian scene. By far, the majority of the tracks and the majority of the leagues, rather, choose to run the track surface at 100% state, which means that the coating of rubber on it is as complete as it can possibly be. Now, in the dry, that gives you just a tiny little bit of I suppose, better control over these supercars compared to an unrubbered track. But the minute you get any water on it, it really is an ice rink, and it's an incredibly difficult surface to drive. And look at Will Buchanan, just gets it all out of shape, manages to hang on to it, but that gives you an idea of just how little grip there is on what would be the traditional racing line. There's just so much rubber on it that finding grip is almost impossible.
Yeah, these guys really just on the teetering edge of, well, between off the road, Phil Manuel. Oh, look in the background, there's another car off as well. That is Brad Hayes struggling to get that car controlled off. And look at the background as well, it's another one off the road. There's another car, and that is Rick Vigar. So as they're arriving here down the back straight, look at just trying to get some temperature in these tyres. They are struggling at the moment. There is so much water. There is so much rubber on this circuit. There is no grip out there whatsoever right now. He's struggling on turning. Ben's very wide for Borg as well. There's understeer, left, right, and centre. These conditions off the road in the background, that's one of the Quantum cars running deep into that corner at Dandenong Road as well. There is nothing really for these guys to hold on to. They are just clinging on for dear life, getting on the brakes, hoping the car stops, turning it in, and hoping that it goes exactly where they want it to go, because at the moment, there's nothing they can do. They are on the teetering edge of getting this car to go where they want it to and just being absolutely in the middle of nowhere, off the road, or in a fence. There is a lot of skill. And I take my hat off to these guys with the car control they're showing right now.
Watch the wheel work here from Brian Borg, especially as he comes out onto this back straight and tries to put the power down. Look at it, understeer, oversteer, oversteer. It's all over the place. And then as you get down this back straight and you hit some of these standing puddles, you'll see the wheel just flick in his hands as it catches. But then down through the S's, look at the spray. I mean, you can't see Bence's car ahead at all coming down the back here, but watch how much he has to adjust. Massive understeer again, gets it back under control, and Bence is off.
He's very
Bence
wide,
is
off the road. And it's a huge moment. He's opened the door, and yeah, that's not the first time we've seen these guys struggle to stop that car at Dandenong Road. And again, as Rushy is saying, look, I was talking about water, but as he's commented, and rightly so, it is more the rubber out there at the moment than the water that is providing all the issues. The standing water hasn't formed as much as I was expecting that it had at this stage in the race, but the rubber is just, it's acting like sheets of ice really, and just taking away any sort of grip that these cars can have.
Yeah, very, very tough conditions, and still 14 laps to go. We are not done yet, and the rain continues to fall here at Sandown. It's just going to get more and more difficult, and it becomes a race of survival now. Brian Borg and Jason Bence still relatively in touch here. I think Bence, unfortunately, with that off track, has cost himself the win here tonight, but he's got a huge gap, 15 seconds back to Stone Street. He just has to survive at this point. We've got to keep an eye on a few of the other drivers coming through the field. As we see, this battle continues. Nick Geary and Ricky Hyde alongside each other into one. This is very risky. And you can see there's a couple of puddles there just starting to become visible, I think. Oh, there's contact. Geary's sideways. Can he get it going again? He's stalled the motor. He's got to try and get it restarted here and get out of the way as quickly as he can. He's going to lose a couple more spots. Troy Sipple's picked up a black flag. That's an instant count. Geary very lucky to get away with that one.
Yeah, very lucky indeed. There was minimal damage to both
Look at
cars
the
there.
down this front straight. Sorry.
And they're starting to arrive.
But
that's all right. We said they weren't coming, and here they are.
yeah, it's just gotten to that saturation point, hasn't it, where the track just cannot clear the water anymore, and it's starting to pile up. Ben's up and over the curb again. He's throwing everything he's got at it to try and reel Borg in, but it's just costing him time. Chad Vigar is off through the S's as well. So it's catching people out absolutely everywhere. Tommy DeWitt has a moment, picks up a slowdown. He's struggling to keep it on the track. There's water absolutely everywhere. In these conditions, I tell you what, if there was a red flag in iRacing, this would be the sort of race that is heading towards it. We're not there yet, but we're certainly on our way if this rain keeps up. And I think if we were another 10 or 15 laps from home, geez, you'd be thinking about waving it if you're a steward, wouldn't you?
You certainly would be at the moment thinking about seriously waving the red flag, but we're going to keep pushing on. There is not there's not enough water out there at the moment for us to really be concerned, I would imagine. It is looking pretty tricky, but the conditions, look, they're treacherous. They are making their way through. This Phil Manuel just drops it, doesn't he? He's done very well to catch that and not find a wall, and then Brad Hayes, almost in tandem, has done the exact same thing just after him, and both getting it back on circuit. We caught that on camera in the background a little while. Look at that standing water. There is so many puddles starting to form, especially here. Look how loose Borg is as they run through too. He had that car on the slide, struggling to get it controlled, and now Benz is back within a shot of this. We thought he might have been down and out for the count with that slowdown and just a pace that Borg has had, but with these conditions, Will Buchanan also right in behind Mark Point. He has reeled in the man in fourth place to battle for a chance at maybe getting on the podium. Stone Street has dropped these guys. He is some 17 seconds back up the road. Will Buchanan could get a podium here.
Ben's all over the shop through the S's, picks up a slowdown, no surprises there. Here comes Will Buchanan. Geez, I tell you what, it would be an absolute miracle for him to pull back a podium here. He's still got a bit of time to do it, but these conditions are not going to help him at all. That gap to Stone Street is still a good 2.5, almost 3 seconds. He's got to get past Point yet. Point will defend hard here, but Buchanan, look, he's got plenty of pace. Point moves all the way over. That opens the door. Surely Buchanan's going to put the nose up the inside. He absolutely does. Point hands it over. Look at the water, just everywhere. Sandown getting absolutely drenched. Melbourne turning it on as it always does. That puddle there on the apex of that final turn, really, really dangerous. I'm surprised we haven't seen someone sideways into the wall from that one.
So it's that puddle it's going to catch someone out at some point. Here we go into the first corner. Looking back now to this battle for the lead of the race. It's still going. Borg and Bence, 3 tenths per him. Look at the spray. Bence will be able to see absolutely nothing. He will be hoping that there isn't just a Brian Borg that stops suddenly in front of him when he runs up the back of him. He will be desperate to be squinting, looking for the rear of the Mustang Mods Ford Mustang in the foreground. And a little bit sideways there. He had to tip it in. Got very aggressive on the turn in there, Borg, just to make sure it rotated enough to make the corner. Almost looked like a bit of a slide, but it was very controlled in that manner. Just making sure there's rotation in this car. A little bit of a puddle. Bence in the background, getting really loose. Both these guys wrestling these things. There is so much car control. Stone Street's off the road. He's backwards. He's parking in the sand trap.
Buchanan's on the podium. How on earth? Look,
what has happened here?
If it was ever going to happen, it's going to be these conditions. And unfortunately, Troy Stone Street has just run it way too deep into Dandenong Road. We'll go back and we'll take a look at that one, but surely he's just outbraked himself there.
he has to have. The Chubby Buns replay will tell the story.
Oh,
and look at that,
start to the S's.
sideways. Before he even gets there, he's already got it on the slide, and then under brakes, it steps out on him and just parks it backwards into the sand trap, and heartbreak for Troy Stonestreet. You have to feel Will Buchanan was coming for him. He has so much pace in these conditions, but Troy Stonestreet would be kicking himself. He's some 10 seconds away around. That's one of the juice cars. That is Nick Geary facing the wrong way once again. So a difficult run in these conditions for the man that was looking so strong inside the top 10. Trav Daly is some 30 seconds behind, so he doesn't have to stress too much about the lead of the Trophy Cup class here. But it is all happening. Drivers are getting caught out left, right and centre. Look at the standing water between turns 1 and 2. There is so much standing water pooling up. Ricky Hyde, Phil Manuel, 7th and 8th position. Look at, they're both sliding off of 2 into 3, now to 4. Oh, I don't even know where to look, Jared Cole. That we said there was nothing happening. I feel like about 10 laps ago, and all of a sudden, everybody everywhere is in battles. Everybody's sideways. People facing the wrong direction. People parking in the sand trap. Will Buchanan's picking up the pieces of some unfortunate incidents, and Chris Burridge and Troy Stonestreet are now going to do battle for the last spot in the 5. Meanwhile, it's still happening at the front of the field. Lap traffic playing a little bit of a factor as well. Look at that trail of water all the way off turn 4.
Ben needs to be careful. He doesn't want to pick up any side draft at all from those lap cars, so he stays very, very wide. Borg maybe just a little bit closer, but he's managed to maintain the pace. This is getting to be just utterly ridiculous in terms of the conditions. This is such a departure from what these drivers have been battling with for 55 laps out of this 250 Ks. They've had perfect weather conditions, and the skies have absolutely turned on them to make this run home. This final 10 laps is going to be the hardest they've worked all night tonight, I reckon. It is just so much effort to try and keep these cars pointing in the right direction and still stay fairly fast out there. Buchanan's just lapped last time around a 117.96. He's a full second faster. It's not going to be enough to catch. Oh, a big moment there for Benz. He just gets it pulled up in time. I thought he was going into the back of Brian Borg, but he's managed to hold on to it. The conditions here are just absolutely treacherous, and I'm amazed that anyone is battling particularly hard at the moment rather than just trying to hold it. Phil Manuel goes sideways at Daniel Road. Oh. Everyone just pulling up in time, and we're going to see look, if it had been anywhere else in the pack, that could have been. Oh, and in the background, it's Chad Weiger who goes around. It's starting to get so slippery down there. Abel Verman picks up a spot as Weiger recovers. This is almost comical.
It is. I tell you what, Jared Cole, usually when I do these broadcasts, we see side by side Josh Harris and Trav Daly, and Trav Daly goes on through. When I do these broadcasts, I sit down. I have standing desk. I've stood the desk up. I am standing for this. There is so much happening. There is a lot of action. I feel like I need to be standing for these last 8 laps that we now have on circuit, because this is exciting stuff. The weather has introduced so much chaos, so much carnage. Everyone everywhere is feeling like they are on the edge of the seat. If they were not exhausted from the first 60 laps of this race, they are absolutely shattered now, and we are not even at the finish yet. We still have 8 laps to go. The lead of this race is still yet to be determined. Brian Borg, Jason Benz is determined to make a point of it. He's come back at him. He stayed with him these last few laps. They are going tit for tat in terms of lap times right now. They overtake Ash Hall, who lets them through. It's actually Scotty Perrin, that lets them through, one of the Quantum Camaros. Down the back straight, Will Buchanan 15 seconds away, most likely out of this unless something big happens between these two in the next few laps, but he's done well to get back to the podium. Mark Poynton sits comfortably in 4th. He's 7 seconds behind Will Buchanan, but some 12 seconds in front of Stonestreet. He gets under the inside run. He's got the drive off the corner. They're going to go side by side down towards the final chicane. It looks like Borg is still in front. He has to go defensive into the final 2 corners. He's run very, very wide. They both go out to the yellow line. comes back in front. He holds on for now, but Bence, he saw an opportunity. He opened the door and he almost had it. Out towards the final corners off Dandenong Road. The lap traffic will play a factor in this as well. He's not close enough when we get to turn 1 to make anything happen. Borg is going to go defensive to cut off any sort of move that Bence might think about making. Does he go for the over-under here off 1? No, not able to make it happen. Borg is still driving defensive. He is putting this car in the middle of the circuit to make it as impossible as he can do for Bence to find a way past. This is brilliant racing in such tricky conditions for these two.
Oh, we've still got 6 laps to go here. This is far from over, but Jason Bent's throwing absolutely everything at Brian Borg right now. Borg is just hanging in there. That car is starting to really struggle. You can't even see them with the drone cam at the moment through that spray as they go down the back straight. Look at the puddles through the S zone. Borg runs wide. That's going to be a slowdown. This could be the opportunity.
Oh no!
Can Bence get it done?
It's going to open the door now for Jason Bence. He clears the slowdown fairly quickly there, Borg. He's done well. He's done very, very well to get that pretty much cleared all the way through the braking zone. Smart driving to try and hold this position. Bence would have smelled the opportunity, but he hasn't been able to capitalise. Borg with some brilliant car work to make up for a costly mistake there. Ricky Hyde, Phil Manuel, 7th and 8th, sideways for Hyde. He's going to go across the grass. This should be a slowdown, and it is. And it's going to open the opportunity for Phil Manuel to go around the outside, the long way around. He's going to get it done. Hyde hadn't quite cleared the slowdown when they made the straight, and he's worked at that for a fair while now. Phil Manuel moves up into 7th place. It continues an impressive debut run for his brand new team. Here we go, up the inside into turn 4. Jason Bence on Brian Borg. There's a bit of a touch on the exit. They're going to be side by side down the back straight. Not quite. Bence lost the momentum off the corner. Borg holds on once again for now. He's just finding that little bit extra to come out of the corner and just try and maintain that position on Jason Bence towards Dandenong Road now through the fast left-hander. They're both pretty tidy through there. Massive puddles. Makes it difficult to get this car stopped. Bence deep on the brakes as you try and drive underneath again. He gets it a little bit sideways. So does Borg on the exit. So it evens out and the gap maintains a half a second. And everyone just takes a little bit of a breath and a moment because these two are providing some brilliant racing so far.
Yeah, look, there is nothing else on track worth tearing away from at this point, guys. There's separation between almost every other driver. Will Buchanan's done an amazing job to get back into third, and he continues to cut time out of these two, but he's just so far back that it's almost impossible in the next 4 laps for him to catch them. That said, with the way Jason Bence is attacking Borg at the moment, I could really see this going sideways and both of these drivers taking each other out. They've got to be so careful. Look at the pace that Bence carries through 2 and 3. This is where he's been catching Borg every single time. He knows there's a weakness there for Brian Borg. He just has to find the right moment to exploit it. He hasn't quite got there yet, but look at the run down the back straight this time. He's going to be all over the rear bar of Brian Borg's Mustang. Not quite close enough to make a move into the S's, but certainly setting up for Dandenong Road. Surely Chad Vigar picks up a slowdown. There's black flags of Troy Sipple off and Ash Hall as well. Here we go into the S's as Borg and Bence come down one more time. There's another, 4 laps to go here. Borg still maintaining the lead, but only just. Bence is sideways out of and into every corner. He is throwing everything at it at the moment just to try and find... Oh, there's a big moment there for Borg. That's going to bring Bence closer. Could this be the moment down into turn 1? Can Bence get the power down? Borg somehow recovers and starts to open the gap up again as they cross the line. Lap 77 of 80. We're into the last 4 laps here. Jason Bence running out of time. Brian Borg controlling this from the front end. What can he do?
That is the question. What has he got left? Every single time Brian Borg makes a little mistake and Bence feels like the door is open, Borg just finds something on exit to shut that down. Look at how strong Bence has been through turn 3. He's been like that all night. Super strong. Sets himself up well. Off of 4. A big slide for Bence off the corner. And I mean, there's not really lost much there, but coming down towards the fast left-hander at the back end of this circuit as they run towards turn 6. I really don't think there's anything here for Bence. He's going to have to be bold on the brakes if he wants to get a move done at Dandenong Road. Very wide there for Borg. This opens the door. That's going to open the door massively. Another slowdown. Can he clear it before the corner? If he can't, this will be the opportunity. And he's got it. He's done. He's cleared the penalty. That's brilliant stuff from Borg once again. I don't know how he keeps getting away with this. Jason Benz probably doesn't know either. He's feeling very frustrated. Big slide for Borg through the penultimate corner as they come into the final chicane. But again, he just finds the drive off the corner to hold the position. You can see Brett Horsell getting out of the way. That is P11. These guys have lapped all the way up to the back end of the top 10. They have driven spectacularly this evening. The gaps between the rest of the cars absolutely massive. 13 seconds back to Buchanan, 14 seconds from there to Poynton, 14 seconds from there back to Stone Street, who has another 2 to Burridge, and then 18 to Phil Manuel. Everyone is spreading out except for these two. And that's a massive tank slapper from Benz as he looked to drive underneath Borg, off of 4, but not able to make it happen this time. Once again, these two, tit for tat. Every time Benz finds something, Borg just lifts that little bit.
Benz is running out of time. Borg he's going to be absolutely sweating in that cockpit regardless of the conditions. Can he keep it on the track this time? He's managed to get it across. That puddle though just continues to grow and it's such a risk every time. Benz gets very, very squirrely under brakes, just holds on to it, but it's actually worked out for him. He's closed the gap up further than we've seen over the last 10 laps and he's right on the tail of Brian Borg. Gets it out wide. He's going to try desperately to get in front here. Gets all the way across, can't find the grip. Brian Borg will pick up just that little bit of extra breathing room on the way down the front straight. We're getting so close to the final lap here, folks. This is the penultimate lap now. They've got 2 laps left to run, including this one. Brian Borg will be absolutely delighted to come into this with a half-second gap, but Jason Benz is going to close it up in absolutely no time. This is going to be really, really tough for Benz to find a way through, but he knows he's got the pace through here. Look at him close it right back up. He's going to jam it up the inside here as we get in. He's going to chuck the nose in front, side by side as they come out. They're touching doors on the way through, but I think Borg's going to have the pace. Can Jason Benz hold on?
That was the opening. This is what he needed, Benz. That was his prime opportunity. He couldn't get the drive off the corner comparison to Borg. Borg's had brilliant drive off every single corner so far. That's how he's held this position. He goes wide again as they run off 6 through 7. He's a little bit loose. He has to go defensive into Dandenong Road around the outside. Goes Jason Benz. He shows the nose, but Borg cuts him off on the exit of the corner. This is brilliant stuff between these two. There's time running out for Jason Benz. The limited opportunities in this race. Look at how sideways he is through the last 2 corners. He tries to drive underneath as they come out of the S's. This could be it for Benz. They run down the front straight. The white flag is out. The opportunities are running out. Time is out for Jason Benz. It has to be now or never. The spray kicking up. Look at the standing water. They're side by side on the run to 1. Benz around the outside. Can he get it done? He's still there. Borg holding on with everything that he has, but Benz has got him into 2. Up the inside, gets it done. Borg is going to try and cut back here. He's a little bit loose, Benz.
He's got to slow down.
It's got to slow down. Borg, this could be it. It's all over. Benz, if he doesn't make a mistake, should hold on from here. Borg trying to clear this slowdown as much as he can. He's staying with him, so maybe not clearing it as much as we thought he would. He's going to look to the outside. They're going to be side by side again through 6. This is spectacular stuff on the final lap, Jared.
Jason Benz has got to hold on here, just a couple of corners away from one of the most unlikely victories you would have ever called. And oh no!
No, Abel Verban!
Abel Verban on the rejoin has taken Brian Borg out of contention. Jason Benz will take the win, but geez, he won't want to see it happen this way. Benz has backed it right off. I'm speechless. What an amazing battle, but what a way for it to end. I don't know if Brian Borg would have got him, but we'll never know now. Jason Benz will take the win. It's deflating for us here in the booth. I can't imagine how Brian Borg is feeling right now. Look, a massive battle from both of these guys, and both of them deserve to celebrate what has been a phenomenal final 10 laps in these conditions to put on that sort of a battle all the way to the end. But I'm absolutely devastated that we didn't see that play out all the way to the finish line. There's still battles going on, mind you, just a couple left to sort out. I think Chad Vigar is going to hold on here. He stays ahead of Trav Daly. Rick Vigar is just barely, or rather, I'm not quite sure what's happened for Vigar and Chapman. They've crossed the line pretty close together. Abel Verban, that rejoin, I don't know what happened, but it's, the timing was just, look, I can't take anything away from the battle there.
Absolutely not.
Benson Borg they've worked so hard fighting it out there for 10, 15 laps. We saw that go on, and just when you thought it was over, it was right back on again. Jason Bentz taking the win in a monumental closing chapter of this race here at Sandown. I don't think I've seen a race that good in a long, long time. This is how they stack up in the end. Jason Bentz takes the win ahead of Brian Ball. Will Buchanan in third. Daylight and then some back to Mark Poynton in fourth. Troy Stone Street gets fifth with Chris Burridge in sixth, and then Phil Manuel, Ricky Hyde, Stephen Varga, the last driver to finish on the lead lap, and Brett Horsell rounds out your top 10. Trav Daly takes the Cup Trophy win, one spot ahead of Nick Geary, with Paul Burns taking third in that Cup Trophy class, and a smattering of other drivers finishing just a couple of laps off the lead. Tommy DeWitt, 2 back, Scott Perrins 3 back, and then the drivers that had some less than enjoyable nights tonight: Andrew Hoffman, Troy Sipple, Ash Hall 45 laps back, Alistair Bale 62 laps back, and Dean Logsdale with those early black flags. I have no idea what happened to Logsdale in those opening laps, but geez, that's long forgotten after what we've just seen in the closing stages of this race here tonight. What a way to finish this off. Abel Verban saying he had a wheel disconnect there. Look, I don't know what's happened, but my goodness, what a finish.
That was a blockbuster of a last 20 laps between Borg and Benz. Fantastic stuff. It is super unfortunate for it to end the way that it did, but take nothing away from either of those blokes. The way they drove was spectacular. Will Buchanan, a brilliant drive to come back to third as well. That was largely overshadowed by the fact we were watching that battle towards the end, but he did a spectacular job. And all three of these men are going to be absolutely shattered, Jared Cole, but they have, I can see, they are sitting and waiting. They've kindly given their time to come and chat to us, but they will be exhausted.
No doubt at all. Well, let's start off with third place. Will Buchanan joins us in the booth. Mate, welcome on in once again. Look, I can only imagine that you're feeling pretty disappointed with the initial pit stop and the issue with the tyres, but mate, look at how you've come back, and to get back on the podium with an extra pit stop up your sleeve. You've driven your absolute heart out tonight, mate. Well done.
Yeah, cheers guys. Yeah, made it very hard for myself tonight.
Well, it's about time someone found a way to handicap you, to be fair, but I don't know if that's quite the way we want to do it, honestly.
Just gotta remember to have the right tyres on when I come out of the pits.
Well, mate, look, it can always be worse. You could have started on wets, and you didn't. So, look, there's always a silver lining in every cloud. Tonight, the drive though, once you did get back out there, I was expecting you to be outside the top 10 here at Sandown. It's one of those tough tracks where coming back from that sort of thing is almost impossible, and yet you've managed to find your way back to the podium. How did you make it through the traffic?
Yeah, obviously, a lot of people didn't practice on the wet, and they were kind of staying on the racing lines, which usually has no grip. So I was trying to do those go-kart lines, being a bit shallow in the corners, staying a bit wider in some, which turned out well. The others, that was just the advantage I had over the others.
Well, mate, an absolutely huge drive. Take nothing away from it. It was a massive, massive effort to get back amongst it. So congratulations. How are you feeling after that one? Was it as tough out there as it looked from up in the booth?
Yeah, it was pretty tough, especially the last 10-15 laps when the track was really soaked. Other than that, though, it was pretty cruisy. Just more annoyed at myself with the result I got, which is not too bad. Bit of damage control had to come into play.
Well, mate, you've done a really cracking job of damage control there. I can tell you that's not what most people would be expecting after that sort of error. So a brilliant recovery. As always, before we let you go, if you want to say hello to anyone, mate, well and truly earned it tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, just all the RER boys with their support, and just all our sponsors, AITX, Shield Coat, Sudspeed, Kibby, Shrek 4x4, IR Sidekick, and Sadie's Glassworks. And then also just thank you for you guys for the broadcast, and thank you for Racing Control for what they do.
And honestly, wait until you watch that last 10 or 15 laps back. If you had the view that we did, it was a phenomenal race. So enjoy watching it back, mate. Thanks so much for your time as always, and no doubt we'll get to chat to you again soon, hey?
Easy guys, have a good one.
Will Buchanan there takes the third step on the podium. Well, it's down to the final two. We didn't quite know which order we were going to be chatting to them in, but in the end, it's Brian Borg that ends up on the second step of the podium. Brian, g'day mate, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. Yourself?
Look, we I can tell you for certain that that the voice for Isaac Fogarty, it's gone. He's got nothing left at this point. Those final the final 15 laps, I'd say, just absolutely phenomenal to watch. And from our spot here in the booth, probably the best battle I think we've seen, not just this season, but in any season that I can think of. I don't think we've seen it go down to the wire like that in a very, very long time, to say the least. Mate, I can only offer massive commiserations for what should have been a battle all the way to the line. It didn't quite get there, but geez, you put in a huge effort and did an amazing job holding Bence off, but in the end just couldn't quite hold him off on that final lap. He really threw the nose in there, didn't he?
Yeah, mate. Like, honestly, to hear your voices and how you guys are talking about it, like, usually I'm the one who can't shut up in the commentary, but like, you guys, like, obviously enjoyed it a lot more than what, like, honestly, Bence and I would have enjoyed that race, but like, our relationship's gone a little bit sour, so that was a little bit personal between Bence and I.
Well, there you go. That explains a few things. I'm surprised there weren't rivalry. Surprised there wasn't a bit more panel damage then.
Yeah, like, obviously we're going to do respect on track, you know, but that was personal. Like, that did like, that hurt a little bit. And yeah, a little bit of a shame with what happened at the end there, because I was going to send it back on him at the last chicane, but obviously it didn't happen. But that's all good, you know, P2. Considering what happened in the first corner, lap 1, like, you know, I had to do that early pit stop to jump a good 4 or 5 cars to get track position, and then, you know, that's what really set up for the rest of the race. So to beat P2 is a, you know, bonus, and, you know, well done to Will for getting back up to P3 with what happened to him in his first pit stops with putting wet tyres on. But you know what? Congratulations, Bence. You've got one up on me.
Mate, a huge effort tonight. Just amazing racing, and look, for as tough as it would have been out on track, I can guarantee you're going to enjoy watching it back, because it was a massive battle. A huge congratulations on the result here tonight. We thought you had it by some margin after your pit stops played out, but I think Bence just lucked out a bit more than you did on the timing of the rain, and it really brought you back together. A huge night. As always, before we let you go, mate, an opportunity to have a chat to anyone you like out there and say hello, because you've definitely earned it this evening.
Yeah, just a big thanks to my sponsors, My Same Mods, and everyone who's on board. I've just done a blank, but I want to give a shout out to my dad, who's overseas at the moment and watching from all the way from Malta. So big shout out to my dad and his family over there.
Mate, I suggest you get on the phone or on a video call or whatever and check in and make sure they're doing okay after that one. I reckon they're probably recovering a bit at the moment, like we are. Congrats on the results, mate. A brilliant finish, even if it wasn't quite where you'd hoped to be. And I cannot wait to see the next chapter of that one.
Yep, me too.
Brian Borg takes P2 there this evening, which leaves just one man for us to chat to. It is Jason Bence that joins us now. Jason, mate, how are you feeling?
Absolutely wrecked. That was hard work. Following in that spray. I need a towel to dry myself. Like I'm covered.
It was a phenomenal battle. I'm pretty sure it was 15 laps of just non-stop action that we were focused on you and Brian there towards the end. And mate, to force your way through on that final lap, I can only imagine you were at the point where you just felt like you had no choice and you had to throw something in there, right?
Yeah, it was a Hail Mary. Like every one of those moves was a Hail Mary. I felt like he had more pace than me, but I think it was just the tyres coming up to temp a bit slower because I stayed out longer.
Like that could have been it. That could have been it, and it showed, right? You had certainly more pace. We saw time and time again through turns 2, 3, and into 4, but just couldn't quite get there in time to make the move stick. And then that final dive into 1, absolutely massive. Look, I know there's no way you would have wanted to finish the way that you did, and I thought from over there you're almost going to back off just to have the drag race to the line to finish it off. But mate, that is the way it goes, unfortunately, and with Brian getting that pretty significant nudge on the way out of Dandenong Road, it really did open it up. But take nothing away from the victory here tonight, mate. You absolutely worked for it, and it's probably going to be one of the hardest wins you ever have, I reckon.
Yes, it was. It was a shame seeing it end like that. It would have liked to have battled all the way to the line. Although I think even I said to Brian that we both thought that the move was probably done and dusted then, but we still would have liked to have finished the show that we put on for the last however many laps it was, because it was great fun. I was laughing my head off. I don't know what he said, but yeah.
Oh, mate, you were both working really, really hard, and oh, geez, I'm almost. It's not often I'm completely lost for words, but that battle has done it for me tonight. I don't know if we're ever going to see anything quite like that again, and I can't wait for the next time that we do. I'm sure eventually we'll see another one come up like that. But that was absolutely massive, mate. You have done everything to earn the win tonight. A huge congratulations from us here. Enjoy watching the broadcast back because it was an absolute cracker. From the moment that rain arrived, things just went completely pear-shaped. But the battle out in front for both of you was absolutely huge. But as always, say hello to whoever you like. The floor is yours.
Shout out to all the boys at Quantum Racing. Shout out to Quantum Tint Solutions, West Automotive, Simple Broadcast, you guys, to Nicol Photography, 24/7 Sim Services, Gard, St. Gobain, Chubby Buns.
You've just about done the job for me. I appreciate it. Jason Bence, congratulations on the win tonight. Go and get yourself a well-deserved beer or something, mate.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for the broadcast.
Isaac, mate, what do we even say after a finish like that, honestly?
I don't know. I've been sitting here for the last sort of 5 or so minutes trying to figure out what exactly I would say, and the result I've come up with is absolutely nothing, because I think it speaks for itself. That race was spectacular. The last 15 minutes, or the last 15 laps really, was second to none. In the words of Simon Haynes, just add water. We did. It got spectacular, and I could not have scripted that ending if I had tried. It was brilliant. And look, I don't know if we're going to get rain next week at Detroit in Belle Isle, but I certainly hope we do, if that's the sort of racing that we get when the rain shows up.
Phenomenal race. I'm not going to add any more to that tonight, folks. I don't think anything I can say can lift this any further tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it as much at home as we have here in the booth. It's been just a stellar way to cap off this mini Enduro here at Sandown. A massive thank you to Gard, St. Gobain for their support, as always, of the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship, to West Automotive and Quantum Tint Solutions, and of course Chubby Buns Burgers, Nicol Photography, and the guys from 24/7 Sim Services for their race control here this evening. we got lucky to not have a safety car, but geez, I'm glad it played out the way it did. It's been a huge night of racing. Will Mexico tomorrow night with the GT3s top it? I have no idea, but make sure you stay tuned to find out. Hit that subscribe button down below to keep in touch with all of the racing action. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night or indeed next week. Whatever you choose, it's going to be great to have you back with us. From everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, my name's Jared Cole, Isaac Fogarty in the booth alongside me tonight. It is goodbye for now.